Before we get into today's show, I just want to give a quick reminder that any donation you make on our platform is now shared directly with those in Myanmar who need it most. Although banks are still closed, we have a trusted and reliable local network that can ensure your donation reaches its earmarked destination. Any and all donations make such a difference. Go to insightmyanmar.org/donation if you would like to contribute, or stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear more options. With that, let's get on to the show.
Ethnicity, Taya Minway. Me a yotamo, Niban bone tea you be, Piashingo Piachi Chinde. Me ha tuye gong lipside, me ha azani lipside, me ha bamazonda lipside. Untitled poem by Taya Minway. Translation by Major Wu. If I could, I would take a speckle of your bone dust, to the heavens above, to show to the gods you are a hero, a martyr, a Myanmar student.
They totally destroyed the whole village. And somehow it happens to be the one who called them was named also thing from USB members, but his identity is not confirmed yet. So when the whole village is destroyed, my comrades and like the ones who were in part of those traders wipe out and the defense teams and protesters had to run to the nearby villages and also had to hide in the forests and in the jungles for about 1 week or more, and they were casualties at the moment because the militaries like they just didn't care and they just shoot randomly. So after that, they moved to the Sakai district around that place, like moving from one place to one place day by day. Not all those 3,000 people in one group. Like they divided into a lot of smaller groups and like run and hide. So yeah, their home was destroyed, and because of they did the right thing. So the military is trying to chase down those all people, like since the Shuibo, their members' houses were destroyed, and the traders who were feeding the information to them were wiped out. So turns out they have been very scared, my comrades, and it's a she, it's a female. Like she texted me like 1 week ago about like in a very sad how do I say tone, and the text was yeah, she always called me "Go daughter Wu," even though I'm younger than her. Go daughter, are we gonna win this after doing all those sacrifices for our win? Because like they had to leave their house, they had to sacrifice the lives they had on the village, they had to how do I say leave everything they have been doing before for that matter only. So she texted me and said, yeah, are we really gonna do this, win this? And after that, she texted me, are you sure that we are not going to be sued for what we did during this period? Because she is afraid that even though if we were to win, if we are going to win, she is afraid that all of the people who have taken the action of defending will be sued later after the winning stage. So how do I say? When she called me and like told me about all the situations on phone, like the situation was very clear. Like they did what they think right, and the military is chasing them with massive load of guns and even I heard like grenades and like 3,000 people. So they have no money. They have no support, and they are in the area of no connection. So whenever she had the access to like to call, even a call, not even the internet, like she always call me and like, tell me like what kind of problems they are having with those 3,000 people, and like how they are going to defend because they don't have any kind of military tactics. They were just normal civilian before. So like she told me that I don't care if I die in this situation, but I just want to know that if we are going to really win this. Like she doesn't care about anymore. Like she was a rich person before, not a rich, but quite rich. Because her home was doing rice and petals, and like she left all of this. Her father also left all of this. So yeah, this is the like whole story of what had happened to Shuibong Dilongjia, and they are still on the run right now. And so what I'm doing here for them is trying to get the donations as much as I can, and for them and deliver them whenever I can. So she will go out sometimes and like claim those donations and distribute back to the 3,000 people, and also nearby villagers who was in extreme poverty before and stay now in like more poverty because of the coup.
So that's a really dramatic story, and I'm very familiar with Thilon village. This is outside of Shuibo, and looking at it from the background of a meditator and someone interested in the monastic traditions, Thilon village is where Thilon Sayadaw took his name from. He was a 19th century monk that was in the lineage of Mahasi Sayadaw, and Mahasi Sayadaw came from very nearby himself in Sekun village. And the way that the villagers are earning their living now is similar to how they were earning it back in Mahasi's time and all the way back in Thilon's time. And I've been to Thilon village many times. It's a very small village. It's hard to get to, but because of the research that I was interested in and learning about these great monastic figures and some of the early meditation masters that came from Myanmar that ended up developing techniques that would spread around the world in terms of mindfulness training and Vipassana meditation, these were places I wanted to visit. Sekun village, where Mahasi was from, and Thilon village, where Thilon took his name. There's, just to give some historical background before we get into the recent tragic events, the monasteries in Thilon village, I've been to two of the monasteries there. They're some of the most beautiful and incredible monasteries I've been to anywhere in the country. They're made of teak, and the shrine rooms are just awe-inspiring. They're wonderful. We've taken pilgrims there and spent nights there and given donations to the monks, had meditation in those places. And one of the things that always struck in my mind is that Thilon Sayadaw did a walking meditation. And the pathway in which he did his walking meditation 150 years ago or whenever it was, that pathway is still seen today. So one can actually do the walking meditation in this 150-year-old pathway that this great meditation master once used. So historically, especially for those that are interested in meditation and the monastic traditions, this is an incredibly important and significant area, and a beautiful, peaceful, serene area until 3 months ago. I have very warm and special memories of being there. So I just want to give some context and some background for the listener where these names might not have as much significance, being small village names on a map. But this is quite an important area and region for those interested in the meditation traditions. And it's also a small village. And so you're painting a picture of an entire village that was terrorized based on spies that were feeding information to the military. And when the military came to begin operations there, the entire village, 3,000 people, had to suddenly flee. And this beautiful, serene village, countryside village that has this great monastic history, you're saying this was completely destroyed and all these people are in hiding. And the contact that you had was fearing for her life, but it sounds like an even greater fear of loss of life was that what they would do would be in vain, that the struggle and this loss and the sacrifice that they were risking would not lead to further victory, that at the very least that this sacrifice should mean something. So this is the story that you're telling us.
And also, another one is one of those leaders who were in charge of those wiping out the spies is still wanted by the 505A and 505B, which is national treason. So I actually tried to perform an extraction for those three people who was deadly wanted by the militaries. But somehow they decided to stay where they were because they said that if they were to flee to liberation areas in ethnicity, in what ethnicity districts, they said the groups that they have found and the people who were following them will be dispersed and disbanded. So they chose to like stay at risk instead of like fleeing to a place that is actually safe. So the extraction wasn't successful. I tried to extract three people. I think the one who is wanted by 55A and B, and the two followers who is wanted by the military because of the spies have given information of them. Yeah. So the extraction isn't successful yet, and they are in hiding because they very politely requested my extraction because they wanted to stay at where they were because they wanted to do what they were doing.
Right. And that's just a sign of the enormous courage and selflessness and self-sacrifice that we're seeing among so many today, that these friends of yours had. You're giving numbers and 505 and other warrants, and these are codes that refer to arrest warrants that the military is holding out to come and abduct different people according to whatever charges they want to make. And so you're saying that some of these people did not want to be to escape to safety. They wanted to stay where they were and continue their operations. And in terms of the informants and the spies that that notified the military about some of the people that were in this village and led to this operation that destroyed this entire village, has anyone in the community been able to discover who those spies were, and has any action been taken?
Actually, by wiping out IMPs, like their lives have been, drained. Because here in Myanmar, the term is like going very Trump. Like if you can wipe out or kill the spy, like we are not going to win the war because like they live among us, and like sometimes they will try to pretend like us, but still giving out the information of who is doing what, like which the person in this street is going to protest, and he has been protesting for like 2 months. The person is on the front team. The person has been helping CDM workers. The person has been helping the protester hide in his or her place. So spy, if like here, if you even hide kids in your house, like you have like a 50% chance to get shot in the head because it has been proven. So whatever you do like wrong right now, like even though if all you do is just donating, like if you are caught with it, like you may even get like some kind of very harsh beatings and maybe 3 years or 7 years worth of jail. So how do I say, like we can, and as you have asked, we have actually identified and like seen the faces of those spies, and they have been how do I say, broadcasted on our local medias. Like their names and what they have done has been how do I say, found out, and it has been uploaded to the local medias.
What do you think are the motivation of these spies?
But the bomber, there has been a very corrupt identity going on in Myanmar. So those spies, there are a lot of, we call them the land. And I've actually wrote about an article for that. Like they may be in an entry-able stage. Like they have been very close with the militaries, and like they strongly stand against the protesters, and like they stand with the military because if they stand with militaries, they may get the privileges, they may get the rewards for giving information about the protesters. And sometimes, if they are, how do I say, some kind of businessman, in tribal case, there has been like a lot of rich people like who were playing as spies. So like they didn't need money, they didn't need what they want what was privileges, the contract to do some kind of businesses in the future after the military has won, like some kind of privilege that military will give if those spies give information about what those people in their area was doing. So the motivation is clearly about money. See, like privileges is privileges, but what comes after is money. So yeah, most of the spies' motivation here is like money and safety, because some of those spies do it for their safety. Because if they think that if they stand on the military side for now, and if they don't found out by the protesters or by the people, like they will be safe, because our military won't touch those people houses. So because our military is attacking and kidnapping people on their whim whenever they feel like it, and they're stealing. Because sometimes they may give the reasons to search your home, and later, like they took out all the money and very precious things off you, and like they will just say, okay, go say to some anyone you like, because they are the ones who is armed here.
Right. So is it difficult to go about finding who are spies? Do they stand out from the normal protesters, or are they very much looking and sounding like anyone that's in the movement? And I'm also asking that, I'm wondering if one has come to find that, one's neighbors, friends, even family, someone close that is being trusted, that is integrated in what seems like on the side of the people, and then secretly is just getting access to all that information and looking like one is very involved, but then feeding that information to the other side.
It's actually very hard to like distinguish between the spy and the not spy. So like the way we try to, how do I say, identify a spy in a protest is like a spy looks outstanding sometimes, but sometimes we were wrong. But how do I say? We just don't kill the spy straight whenever they think they are spy. Like we like give questions and questions after, like we trying to check their phones, phone call messages, whenever we think they are spies. And actually, spies are not very hard to identify if I have to think about it, because the non-spies who are living among us are the ones who have been living closely with the military. So before this coup happened, like our locals, I mean, let's say I live in a district of 500 people, and I know all of them. So before this coup, we have already know who are on another side, and who are like on military side. So when this coup happened, like they just choose which side they will stand on very clearly. So I think 70% of the spies are very not very hard to point out, but other 30% are very, how do I say, clever. Like they give a lot of side works. Like sometimes they will show a lot of donations. They will even give you the footages and photos of them protesting among people. And as you may, I don't know if you have seen, but a lot of artists and celebrities are also spies, maybe the ones who stood for the military. So in tribal case, like one of my comrades said, in a letter of them, six of them were already UDSP members. So here, if you already are UDSP members, which means like you have been supporting the military for a very long time. So honestly, it's very clear here. So uh, like 70% of the spies are not very hard to find out, but 30% are like very hard ones, because they're educated and they don't try to speak much. Like whenever they receive that information, like they just text back or call back to the police, and like they just stay away from it. Like they don't even show their faces, but stay at one of our friends. Because when I set up my page, I called for 40 admins and moderators for volunteers, because the information flow is going to be really tough. And like even after a careful consideration and text, like to clarify if they are not if they are not spies, like one of our members found out like 5 of those members were spies, because their histories on Facebook clearly pointed out that they were the military supporters, and they are. And like when we told them that we noticed that you're a spy, and I just want to know if, like, I don't care if you were a military supporter, but I want to know if you still support this kind of atrocities that military is committing. And he said, "Oh, now you find out. Oh, thanks God. Now I got all the information I need. I know who you are. I know your faces. I know your profile. So just wait for your turn to come be addicted." So it works that way. They will stay one of us unless they are found out. Like there are a lot of ways to find out. You see, even those 30% very clear spies will not delete their Facebook histories about how they complimented militaries during all these years. And sometimes they may even say that military is doing for their good, doing for our good, and like they are trying to validate the corrupted, how do I say, elections.
Right. So that must be really challenging and frustrating to live in a society and community now where you constantly have to figure out who you can trust. And when you're talking about trust, it's not just a matter of carrying things forward and getting things accomplished, but the trust can literally be a matter of life and death of yours or your comrades. And so every relationship, every conversation, every operation, every plan, every step of the way, everyone in the country now has to be thinking, how much do I trust this person? And that's probably true not only of those that one has just met, but also those that one has known for a long time.
We call it social punishment. Like whenever we find out that one of our friends or some of our friends like supporting the military even after all those atrocities, like we social punish them by not making friends with them anymore. Like we just ignore them straight. So like there's been a trend going on in Myanmar about social punishment. Like close friends are now strangers, like brothers are now strangers, father and son, mother and daughters are now completely on the opposite sides.
Right. So people are talking about a possible coming civil war in Myanmar in terms of battles and violence, but you're painting a picture of a civil war that's already taking place, not necessarily a violent civil war, but a civil war of putting a line in the sand and having people fall on either side of those lines, even if they're connected by many years of friendship or by blood.
Nobody wants civil war. Actually, I'm not a very courageous person. Also, like I don't even like blood. So, but even right now, like I might be the like person who wants the civil war the most in this apartment I'm living, because how do I say, we are afraid to die. We are afraid to die. Actually, I'm very afraid to die. I'm just 22 years old. I have dreams. I have places I want to visit, and I have I have a lot of things that I want to do. But somehow, like actually, civil wars have been happening in Myanmar for 16 years. Like this is like the longest civil wars history in the global history. So, but it's like the civil war is leveled up, because before this time, before this coup, there has been the EAOs, we are calling now NUG, CRPH, the Ethnicity who were armed and fighting against the militaries. We thought them as rebels, and we thought them as bad guys. And turns out, like when this coup happened, like all of those Burmese citizens were, how do I say, enlightened. It's an epiphany. So everyone just, wow, we have been institutionalized for a very long time. And like it's the militaries who have been committing atrocities in the places where they can report back, bans the whole villagers, like rape and kill the children. So somehow, like they are basically more starts with guns. Like we don't want civil war if it is possible, because like win or lose, the consequences of civil war is always not good. So that like this is the last time that all those Myanmar citizens have to suffer and see the atrocities, and sometimes even like face them, encounter them, and see them in person. So yeah, civil war has already been in action, and because everyone has seen that UN can do anything with China and Russia dragging them back. So we'll have to fight for our own democracy. We are really appreciate to UN and other countries for speaking out to us. But it's our democracy, and if we don't fight for it, we'll never gain it. So yeah, civil war is the only solution that we are looking for right now. We are trying to arm people, like whoever wants to be in the, how do I say, the new forces that is forming to fight against the militaries, like how do I say, delivering and transporting the gangsters and people who wants to join the EAOs in liberation areas and training, so that we'll be fully prepared when the whole civil war is in March. Because how to say, we can fight and like we can arm everyone in in big cities like Yangon, Mandalay, Naypyidaw is like forget it. Yeah, we can arm those people. So in here, it's very impossible for us to fight from Yangon. It's more like they will have to fight the ethnicity groups, and the armed groups will have to fight military from the outside of the Yangon and Mandalay. So the civil war has been already initiated. Actually, it's just like, how do I say, waiting for the people and the NUG to make some kind of statements. Because it's the solution we are looking for right now. Because diplomatic way never works. Like to the person who can understand. It's been like very, very quite clear, and it's crystal clear that diplomatic way won't work. And if other countries and UN state thinks that diplomatic way will work, I don't know, because honestly, the last option the military will give us when they are very tightened up by the ethnicities and the people and civil disobedience movements, like they will say, like, let's negotiate. Like we can't negotiate after all those lives have been sacrificed. It's been like 700 and more. And maybe a lot of that rules will keep going up, like if this keep going. But we don't care, because like we'll have to.
Right. So you're talking about 3 months into this conflict, at least by the time when we're talking. This interview will be released sometime after we talk. But several months into the protest movement, there really has been little more than statements of concern and some sanctions from the international community. And so people in Myanmar are increasingly realizing that they're on their own and that they need to do what they can to preserve their lives and their freedom. And suddenly many like you, many in your generation especially, are being thrust into this new world that before February only existed in movies and TV series, perhaps some spy novels of looking at living in a world of where you have to identify spies, where you have to look at how to get arms, how to make defensive strategies, how to go into hiding, form safe houses, have safe communication. So all these things that to you and everyone else are very new, that nothing like this was ever imaginable, that it could be part of real life, that you would be living this way. And now this has become the reality. So on that note, I'm curious about what your background is. Before February 1st, you mentioned that you had a lot of dreams. You had a lot of things you wanted to accomplish. You had a lot of things you were working on. So tell us who you were before February 1st.
I was a business school graduate, and I work as a digital marketer, account executive for for a foreign marketing company, marketing agency. Yeah. And I was actually running a side business, a very small digital marketing agency, and I had like two clients, two business owners for their digital marketings. And not only that, I have been on my way to start a new business of installing liquid cooling system into PC with my friends. And that was the dream. That was the business that I was eager to develop into further stages because the business has been going great. And at the same time, how do I say? My parents actually a bit old, so I wanted to like earn a lot to give them what I could while they were alive, because like they had lived how to say very poor life to give us the food and necessary education to get me where I am now. So like there was one of my dreams, and I was also dealing with like a lot of mental disorders at the time before the coup. So like my dream was not very special. I just wanted to travel to a foreign country for the first time because I haven't been out of Myanmar, and I wanted to just go to Bangkok and see the beauty of it. Like not very much a big dream, but it was for me because I had never been on a plane before. So and if my works and business are going great, I could be able to travel to Bangkok in like 2 months if didn't happen. Uh, and I will land why they are so successful, even though like they are our closest country and they don't even have the necessary, how do I say, how do I say, natural resources like we do. So like, I wanted to learn a lot of them, a lot from them. Like why the Bangkok is called as the beauty of Asia, like the best night in Asia. But yeah, so it's not a very big dream, but when this coup happened, all of our monies were like driven into this coup helping progresses, like for transportation, to help city workers, to help defense teams who are on the run, to find houses and places for the defense team members who are on the run because the police and militaries are chasing them. And like here, if you are dead and kidnapped without anyone knowing, it's like 90% sure you'll be dead by tomorrow morning. See? So like whatever you do, yeah, this, and not only that, how do I say, I was about to be promoted to senior digital marketing executive, senior account executive, soon. But what could happen, our company work had to be stopped because it's the marketing. So when the coup started, marketing is the first phase that dies. So nobody wants to see that ADS. Nobody wants to see what kind of product is good for their child because it's not the important case here.
Right. So when the coup happened, it really destroyed a lot of collective as well as individual dreams, a lot of economic growth, educational opportunities that were happening and have been happening for the last 10 years as Myanmar has been opening up with a steady series of reforms. And in your own case, these projects you were working on and how your work was steadily improving and getting better, these dreams were all temporarily, hopefully, destroyed by this coup being initiated. And so then after February 1st, and you were adjusting to the new reality and having to figure out what you wanted to do and what role you wanted to play, how did you go about making that decision? How, now that the world had suddenly changed in the course of an hour, how over time, over days and over weeks, did you start to adapt to this new reality? And what did you start to do to support the resistance in that initial month?
Uh, it's gonna be a bit weird, FYI, because I actually guessed and told my friends that the coup might happen because the Myanmar military talk once that they can say that they will not do the coup, they will not start a coup, but they also can say they will start a coup. So there was a possibility that the coup will be initiated if NLD and how do I say, legally selected winner NLD will not do as they are told. So I actually told my friends that the coup might happen, because we are about to start a new business and we're going to invest a lot of money in that. So the coup might happen. So should we wait for like another 2 weeks or 1 week to see if it's going to happen or not? So, but somehow we miscalculated and we just thought that the coup might not happen because, yeah. And when the coup happened, I was on my way to my work, and it was the first day of going to office because we have been work from home. So, like that was my first day. So I went to my office, and turns out like the office is closed, and I didn't get any kind of notifications, and because like all of the calls, internet connections were cut off. Like everyone is cut off on first day because we can't call each other, we can't text each other. Like everything is cut off. So I didn't get the information of going to the office closing up. So like when that happened, actually it's not very strange with those kind of coups because I read a bit about 88 coup and 72 coup, 62 coup. So when that happened, I how do I say? Like I took 1 day for that. I took 1 day because I was actually collapsed. Like the work will not be here anymore because we have hired a place, and we have to keep giving money to that place, and we have to pay for our food, and like we just started life. You see, with no zero budgets because we thought the business will be okay. So but I took 1 day, and after 1 day, I thought like I can't just stay like this. So as a digital marketer, all I could think was to create a page because I calculated that information flows if they try to like block our information flows like very fast. Like we can't just like I can't just stay like it. So I started to create a page, the resistance to the peaceful resistance. The page name was the peaceful resistance to military cop. Yeah. So somehow I started to write about like what kind of things happened in 88 and so on, and how many years this military system has been playing in our country. So I started writing about them. I like talk to people, trying to educate people because people are not very aware of what is going to be happening. I also calculated that for this coup to end and for this coup to like win, we'll have to make a lot of sacrifices. Like a lot of people will keep dying because it could be me, it could be my friends, it could be my parents. Like it could be anyone. So uh, I try to say to people that prepare for what is coming, like prepare for the worst, because there is no such detector who will give up the power that they have gained once because the people are shouting at. So like the protests, like they will allow the peaceful protests for a certain period of time, but after that they will start using bullets or maybe a lot of cruel ways to oppress us. I actually want people in those pages because the page the engagement has increased very tremendously because people were looking for some kind of information place that people could like they could listen to. I'm not an expert at politics also, but I could do what I could. So uh, like the page engagement reached to like 174K. It was a private group. It's not even a public. It was a private group, and yeah. And after that, like people start initiated about civil disobedience movement. So I try to like reach out to those people like who did the CDM first, and I also calculated that people will need money later, like those CDM workers. So I didn't take a lot of time to cook myself with this cook because how do I say? Um, I'm somehow a bit cold-blooded person. So when this coup happened, I started creating those pages, and after like a week, like some of my friends contacted me and did interview on me, and it went viral a bit. But so yeah, I didn't take too much time for it because I'm prepared, and I have been like dealing with mental disorder. So I have always been like suicidal. So what this could happen, I didn't really care a lot. I just thought of what I could do because I was trying to stay in the cycle of influence, not cycle of concern. Like I can't go and like how do I think of like nationwide strategies because this is not where I was So like I just did what I could. I just focused on what I could do within my capacity. And by increasing that capacity, by increasing my workloads about politics and those, like, how to say, I started to connect with those people who are like working like me. So like I have gotten into a certain cycle of people who are working to rebel against the military. As for second question about supporting the Shi team, I didn't actually intend to get into Shi team because like why would you why would you cover real bullets with wooden sheets? So, but somehow I took the sheets and defended for 2 days. In that day, like in Sanchao, in Yangon Sanchao, I think this was the first day that Myanmar people started to take shields and defend against. So uh, that was how do I say, personally volunteering to part of the Shi teams. Another one is like collecting and like getting the gears, like the protective gears, mask, uh, gas masks, goggles, hammocks, gloves, and sometimes, like getting them in a very massive loads, and not very massive loads, there's 100 per each, 100 per each, and like distributing them to the people in the front lines, who doesn't have any of those. So I distributed a lot of gears to Shuibu ones, Ubin ones, Baoji ones, yeah. And yeah, in Yangon also, like I don't remember the amounts of times that I have supported in Yangon, but so because I think I'm good at communicating with my friends and like trying to engage with strangers. So I just straight up and go to them and like, if you can join the sheep who are protecting the protester, at least what you can do is donate and maybe give me some gear so I can distribute it back to the people who are actually risking their lives to protest. Yeah, so this is how I contributed to the She team in the Ali coup.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that thorough description. And boy, I mean, there's so much there. There's so much in your past description that I want to get into and understand a bit more about what was happening in those days and weeks and months after the coup. But it sounded like, from a personal aspect for you, that you went from having this ordinary life of seeing some upward mobility in terms of how your business was going and some investments you were making, and taking just a day to collapse, which, isn't very long given the severity of what was going on, and then moving on and adjusting to it and seeing what it is you could do and looking at your background, your skill set, your knowledge base, and trying to figure out, based on that, what role you could play, and then starting to fit in that role. That's what so many people have been doing these days, is just discovering who are they, what skills do they bring to the table, what are they able to do, what are they able to learn, and then trying to play those roles. And there's been so much that you have been doing. I want to go over a number of those things one by one and learn a little more about each of those activities. So one of the things you mentioned, and I suppose this should probably be one of the most obvious or predictable actions that you could do given your background, is you set up a Facebook page. Of course, you're in digital marketing, you deal with computers, you deal with networking, and so it would make a lot of sense that one of the first things that you would think of doing is setting up some kind of page that would, rather than doing marketing, for a company or PR, is doing information dissemination and seeing the need right from the start of wanting to find a way to get proper information out, as proper as you can determine under the circumstances, and to find a way to bypass some of the traditional media, or definitely the state media, to facilitate better sharing of information. So can you share a bit about what your vision was for what you wanted to create, and then once the page came to be, what the functions are, how information is being shared, how it's being vetted, what the purpose or the objective of these pages are, and what the experience has been like, several months down the line of after having set up these pages, what kind of life have they taken since?
Before that, I will have to tell you about an example of the get arrested in some kind of place as a young girl, and she was jailed for 7 years because she was an admin of his Facebook page. The page name was Let's Talk About Myanmar. And she was jailed for 7 years for the page. So, okay. When I started creating this page, I didn't expect it to grow it very tremendously. Because this was like my first time creating a page. Because normally, what I did for my copy was about visual designs, animations, kind of contents, copies, Google Analytics. So I was, even though I was using Facebook a lot, I didn't try to create a page. So when I started creating it, there were a lot of tools that I didn't know that I had to learn along the way. And somehow the objective, actually, all of the local medias, most of the local medias were taken down because they were not going from like Facebook mostly. So, and people didn't even like BBC or VOA at the time a lot. So, like, how do I say? And the medias are like not responsible for what to do next. Like they are responsible to just report. So at the time, when I created a page and I didn't know what to write because I just said the resistance to military coup. So I started thinking that, okay, how do I say? We are not the people who is going to die first because like people still need us to educate them what is happening because actually most people believed that if the military couldn't give the valid reasons of the coup to UN, that they will have to give the like power back to the people after 72 hours. So our reason to stay silent for the first 3 days is because we believe that the military will give up the power if they can give the how do I say like valid reason to UN. So at the time, I tried to tell people that it's because people are actually not courageous at the time. Like yeah, who will be? So I try to tell people that 72-hour is a fake news. Like we can't wait. Like we don't need to wait. There is no such thing as 72-hour rules that military, the ones who are taking a power will have to give the power back to the people if they can't give a valid reasons. So yeah, at the time, so what I basically did was with 14 admins, I called two people to my place. One of them is a graphic designer. Another one is art director in digital marketing. So I called them and like we started to develop contents and like visuals like that could directly get into the eyes of the people's memories of the brain, and we try to educate like what is happening, like what has happened with this kind of military and what is happening and what we can do. Like there were no CDM movement at the time. Yeah, actually there were. There were CDM movements and what we could do to stop this. So at the time, the main theme of all the protests was to protest very peacefully because actually we are like the people who can even punch. I can't even punch a person. So all of the Burmese citizens' way of protesting is to peacefully protest. So we always try to tell people like from that 172K members. So like from that people, like it will reach to a lot of people, maybe even a million. So like it's still a good thing to know. So like we try to tell people that to protest peacefully, and if we spot a spy who is trying to provoke police, so the police will like beat us in the name of those spies because one of us will throw how do I say something at the police, and the police will start shooting or maybe run to us and beat us because the spy wanted it. So we try to tell people to clarify like who is trying to anger the polices and the militaries, and like we went on a lot of campaigns. I have worked with a lot of how do I say good people and very honorable people in those first 2 months. The artists are trying to like protest in a very creative ways about three finger salute, like writing it from digital to Twitter. So uh, there were share posts that people should know from persons who are very more like experienced in political matters than me. I was just a normal citizen back then. So they were share posts, and they were, how do I say, I changed the topic, and I I had a category in my page. This is for CDM workers that they should know. This is for CDM workers to ask for supports, and these are the pages and places you can get those supports. And these are for the protesters to protest peacefully. And here are the designs, and here are the campaigns which is going on, and here are the campaign which will come on, and here is the Adidas, how do I say, Adidas vision, my view. I had a lot of contents developed for that. So I think around 70, 70, yeah. So after that, like the protesters, and I mean the protestings have shifted into a very violent protestings, because like policers and military, like they don't even give us the warning, because we have always told the policers and military to give us warning, like if they don't like it, like because we thought there was a rule like that, like they will have to give us a warning for 3 times to make us dispersed. But somehow they don't. Like when they came, they just like ran straight to us. So somehow it had changed into right now protestings. Like we can even amass, we can even like live in 5 people or groups, and they will even yeah. Okay, let's focus on page back. So in that time, how do I say, there are a lot of good campaigns, and there were a lot of how do I say, CDM workers asking for help, and like people who were in poverty before this coup, and who are now in like much more poverty because of the coup, asking for help. So I try to like deliver those low engagements and posts back to the page, and share it back to the people who have already liked my page, so they can see and help. So it's like a connection between those people with those people who are in need and who wants to help. And also at the same time, a place for people to read topics about that they didn't know, and like they had been brainwashed, so that they can cleanse their brain back in those topics. So because Myanmar people, how do I say, most of Myanmar citizens are like composed of 70% uneducated persons. But as the time goes, how do I say, uh, how do I say, Facebook, Twitter, and Telegram is only for information sharing about the truth news. Like it's not useful anymore. We use it to make our voices heard by other countries, and like in the hopes of like they may somehow give us some kind of support instead of statements. That's the real support we are needing. I try to connect with any kind of journalists, any kind of foreigners I knew but all they could do was also state, I mean, prayers. It's not their fault to blame, because why would it be? Like I'm thankful to them for listening to us. So after 2 months and a half, like the main purpose of those Facebook page is just to like encourage people, because like military is trying to like inject side wars, and with the posts and with the contents that civil disobedience movement campaign is failing. You see, the ethnicities are dying, and the how do I say, like they're trying to, how do I say, like break those citizens. I mean, break this very collective Myanmar people into like a lot of groups. So all of the pages responsibilities, not only mine. Responsibility is to encourage people that we are not divided. United we stand. Divided before is the phrase that we use a lot. So later, mostly all of the Facebook pages on Facebook pages became like motivator to those people who are following them, because how to say, people are easy to, how to say, like fall down if they don't hear good news very often. So what we're trying to do here is trying to upload and upload and upload a lot of good news, a lot of good topics that are not falsehoods, but which could possibly happen, and about the steps we're taking, and about the success we have taken so far, and about what we could do and what we should do. And so it's all about positive right now, all of the Facebook pages, because that military is trying to like show its legitimacy by calming down the people. So just right now, our curfew was from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. But just tonight, the curfew was lifted to 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. So like extra 2 hours has been given to us. So like they are trying to also calm us down by soft power as much as they can. Like if they wanted to just kill, like they could kill all of the people. But you see, the national communities wouldn't stand up and like just look at this. So they are also trying to win us back by soft power. Like those atrocities and killing are like trying to inject fear because they think that they can control people with fear. Yes, they are right for some people, but all of those generations see as like we don't have another life. Like we, even though we're Buddhists, like we practice it. How do I say? Like we are at the age of questioning everything. So we don't believe in like they don't believe in another life, and we don't believe in how do I say like good always win and bad always lose. You see, it's the worst of winner, which is true. So we are also prepared for what is coming next. It's not only Generation Z, it's also Generation Y and X. So for the first time in Myanmar history, it's like the like first time that all of us are united. Uh, like Kayin, Kachin, like all the ethnicity groups, we are talking to each other right now. I have a lot of ethnic groups. I mean ethnic friends, yeah, ethnic friends. But right now, we are delivering satay, food and supplements, and clothes and necessary equipment to the war victims who have been in war zone for 16 years because of the military. So yeah, for the Facebook page, it's just to give encouragement, like continuously. It's not about the negative news. So the negative news will be seen even though we don't share because military is trying to show like we are losing and we are trying to show that we are winning. Tackle between collective of minds.
Right. So these are wars that are being waged on all different kinds of levels, on both sides trying to root out spies and defectors, as you mentioned earlier. But then also, as in the case of here, it's a war of morale and what side is feeling better about their prospects, what side is feeling motivated, because that kind of energy feeds so much into the work that one is able to do when you feel like the momentum is on your side. So as you described, that's more and more the role that your page has taken on. I want to go back to what you said just a moment ago. You were talking about the Buddhist identity and beliefs that you and many in your generation have. I was very interested about that because, of course, Myanmar has been a very traditional and conservative Buddhist country for many decades. And part of the reason for that was that the country was simply closed to outside influences. And that definitely affected the way that Buddhism was practiced and observed. And in the last 10 years, there has been a greater opening and contact with the rest of the world, whether through internet, telecom communications, through online culture, or through more foreigners and businesses coming to Myanmar and more Burmese going abroad. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about where you see your Buddhist identity and beliefs, as well as those of your contemporaries and your peers. So how would you define your identity and your belief system as being a Buddhist?
We have been seeing that it's not Myanmar citizens who practice Buddhism to the extension acceptance. It's the foreigners who really appreciate and value the ways of Buddha because like it's the mindfulness, like the ability to like keep stable and in peace, whatever kind of situation you are in. So you have no how do I say savior, or you don't need to worship anyone. So like we work the same way. Like we started to think after during that NLE 5 years of democratic years. I was both of my parents were Buddhists to begin with, and I grew up in a community of Buddhists. And yeah, and I was actually blindly following the instructions and the meditation processes that monks have been teaching to young people in that time. And I was going to a lot of meditation centers because of school, because of the state school, or because of my parents, or sometimes because like there are a lot of friends who are going there. So like I just chose to go there also. So, but the real time that I came into touch with Buddhism is actually, even though I have to say that it's not the Buddhism first, but the how do I say the the Christianity, because one of my close friends were a Christian, and actually we were actually a bit brainwashed to think that Buddhism was the most glorious religion in the world. And so I was actually one of those people who actually believed that Buddhism was the only way. So yeah, but at the time when I went with my friends to his church, and I was how do I say? Yeah, I actually very like the idea of like confessing your sins to the Father, uh, because it gives you the liberation of freedom just for a moment, or like gives you the time or the luxury to reflect on yourself when you confess your sins to someone very heartfully. And I like that idea. And how do I say? The smiles of all those Christians at the church, they knew I was a Buddhist, but somehow like they wouldn't try to preach me, like they wouldn't try to say that come to Christians, come join us, but instead how does it, the monks that I met were telling indirectly to join the Buddhism, like Buddhism is so great, Buddhism was blah blah blah. So actually they were saying indirectly. And later, I came into touch with many other kinds of religions, even though I am not very knowledgeable about them. But somehow I came to realize that like a religion doesn't need its follower to spread its religion. So because like it's not something that it needs people to spread it. Because religion is something that if someone believe it, like they will follow it. If a religion is not followed to a certain period of time, it will disappear. Another kind of better religion will come up. So this is the like way of revolution in religions also. So I also believe that way, and still now, after reading and like talking and discussing with a lot of monks, I have come to a conclusion that some of those monk sayings are actually a bit irrelevant with the real time situation to those people who can't be monks yet, but still trying to practice Buddhism, or like while trying to be a human, not monk yet. So my relationship with Buddhism started that way. So the real time I started to learn Buddhism was when I realized that other religions were actually as good as they were, and they were very helpful and like very enlightening to those people who follow them. It's just people who use religions in their hands and committing crimes in the name of religions, like killing, like no other religions, like never did they say that. So yeah.
Right. That's interesting. So how would you describe your Buddhist identity and Buddhist belief today?
For my Buddhist identity, I prefer to identify myself as a person like who will take any kind of good ways of teaching from any kind of religions. For example, I really love to confess as a human, while we can't do in how do I say Buddhism, because even only the monks and nuns can like confess. It's called abapye in Myanmar. And that's as far as I know. It could be go wrong. So from Christians, I really take the idea of confessing. So I always try to confess to my nearest friends or to myself that I did that wrong, I did this wrong, and I knew it. I shouldn't have done that, but I did it. So I will try to reflect. So I always self-talk to myself or to other people. So these ideas of me and this part of identity is from Christians. So, and from Islam, I really like their consistency and consistencies of how they really follow their instructions. I really like their courage of not courage, but they're very strict rules to not eat the prohibited foods that their God has forbidden. And yeah, so from them, from Islam, I learned to I learned how to live with other religions very peacefully. So because in here in Myanmar, like Islams are seen as bad guys. Like I think it's not only in Myanmar, but somehow like they have managed to how do I say increase their population, also their in terms of the people who follow their religions. So and they always trying to like stay cool with most people. So that's the idea that I took from them. Is I don't know is religion related or not, but if an idea of if the way of teaching like from the religion or from the person is good, like I try to ingrain it into my character. So I think this is my relation with the Buddhism and my identity as a Buddhist. I prefer to call myself as a Buddhist, but also very flexible when it comes to discussing the Buddhist ways, because like it's what the Buddha said, it's not what I say. So if a person has more solid logical reasons to point out that this part of what Buddha said is actually not very irrelevant or it's not true, I'm very, how do I say, eager to accept it, because religion is something that we need to defend to our end. It's something that we need to discuss more and more on daily basis to make it better, because nothing is perfect. It's what Buddha says. So like Buddhism itself is not perfect yet. So it's us who will have to make it, to elevate it by level up by discussing. So like it could go near to the perfect stage. Not to the perfect stage, but nearly, yeah.
Right. So I want to ask about one part of those Buddhist beliefs. That's the belief in karma and cause and effect and keeping precepts. And in most lay Buddhists, they try to follow these precepts, and the precept against killing in Buddhism, that even refers to non-humans, even insects, that a very devout Buddhist will try even not to kill a mosquito that is biting the person on the arm, or if one does kill the mosquito, will immediately take the precepts after that to start anew and to try to, with a renewed energy, to follow those precepts after that moment. And of course, in all religions, even those religions that might not be as strict in terms of the lives of non-humans, but taking a human life is the cardinal sin of really any religion out there. That this is something that we're instructed not to do, and certainly in Buddhism, with the belief in cause and effect, in future rebirths, in the role of Shila and the 5 precepts, this is a very important point. And at this stage in the protest, there's this question of how long can the nonviolent movement be sustained? And this is a question that is looked at from a couple of different angles. I mean, one is just strategic, just purely looking at strategy. What is going to be more effective? How can people win? Do they have a better chance of winning by having targeted or strategic violence, or do they have a better chance of winning by adhering to nonviolence no matter what? And then there's also the question of ethics, of religion, of spirituality. What are the karmic, if you're looking at Buddhists, or for non-Buddhists, just the religious consequences for breaking this cardinal sin? Is this justified in this instance, or is it not justified? Is there simply no other choice given the terror and the evil that is being confronted? So what I know, these are pretty heavy questions. These are pretty big things that many people throughout their lives never have to confront a moment where they have to, where everything comes together, and they have to decide in that moment which pathway they want to go down given the extraordinary circumstances they're facing. And unfortunately, this is a moment that has landed in Myanmar, and it's a moment that you and many of your peers are facing now. So I'm curious where you stand on this, where you stand on the question of maintaining the nonviolence, or if some kind of violent or offensive reaction on the side of the protesters is justified or strategic at this moment.
It's a very heavy question, to be honest. Okay, I think I have been believing that religions are something that is good to have and also bad to have, because like depending on religions, people are very like furious about that violence that is committed by SAC and militaries in Myanmar, but they are very furious that those people are not punished yet, or like they are saying that they will be punished in next lives. So next life is a theory that makes people to believe that something they do in this life is that matter. Like if someone really believe in Darwin's theories of evolution, that actually we don't matter. It's just next life is necessary. Next life, belief and the door to heaven or the gateway to hell is necessary to humans. Like it's like a rule to people. So it's the rule that is binding them to not do that, to not do this. Because and even in Buddhism, that like our mind and soul change totally. Like when we get to the next life, to the human back or to the hell or to another kind of place or to heaven, like our minds and bodies are totally changed. Like we are totally new person. So it's like why should that person in next life should be punished for the sins that he or she didn't do? Like she's totally new. She's totally he or she is totally unrelated. So that's the question I have had for many years. Also, another one is how to say while non-violent acts have been initiated and is going very with good motion in Myanmar, we have past that stage so long. Actually, when the military started killing people since February 8th, like actually, how does it? Military has shown what they were going to do. Like they are just taking step by steps. So if non-violent ways will work, if we are united, like how to say? Let's say the whole district or the whole city, the whole population in the city go out and sit down on the ground and like don't move in the face of the evil. Like because this is the way we choose not to add violence against them. There are two sides I see in them. One side is who are too scared to hurt people. Like me, I'm just actually too scared to hurt people. I actually got turned into a fight once, but turns out only my nose was broken. Yeah. So somehow that's the one side I stand on. Another side is people who don't know what to do instead of nonviolence. So it could work if we are united that way, if we can be united that much. But how do I say? Killing is the belief that we won't do anything what happens, no matter what happens. This is the belief that we Burmese people have believed. But somehow it has taken us to a point that murdering and killing is the only way to liberate our country from fascism. So yeah, I actually don't have a strong belief that we should kill or we shouldn't kill because both of them have consequences. Like even if we won by violent ways, like if we don't have a further plan for to control those armed groups, to control those people who have turned themselves into evils to win against evil, like this country will be doomed like 16 years ago. Because there will be no leader. The Aung San Suu Kyi fame has been decreasing very tremendously in Myanmar about the actions she has taken against military in her legal years. So on that standpoint, I think people who believe in Buddhism but still have many questions to Buddhism will stand on the violent sides because we don't believe in next life. We believe in karma because we believe that karma as not as mysterious work. We believe that one as like if a person is full of negative energy, like he will somehow like slip on that and fall. So this is the thing he sow. This is the thing he will reap. So this is a karma we believe, like me and similar-minded persons. And if there are more people who believe in Buddhism in traditional ways as like they will be punished in next life. So for this life, they may get a chance to do whatever they want. So I think it's all about the patience. And patient one like us won't wait for next lives. We will do whatever we can in this life. But somehow since the military have been cracking down on people very massively, people have been scared. We should be scared. We are actually being injected by fears on daily basis. So the ones who are still fighting till today is the ones that the military fear rejection when not walk on once. So yeah, for the non-violence acts, I don't think it will work for this kind of military because um, the military, how do I say, whenever you look from the aspect, like China and Russia stay standing in the way. Even though, let's say, RTP comes in, like there will still be a war. You see, a war is inevitable at this point, no matter who comes in. So it's all about like, should we do it by ourselves or should we like try hands in hands and with our other national communities to win this war? Like this, all of them. The war is inevitable to keep to get what we want. So non-violence acts is still needed to show that like we are very trying to not act violent against people who are shooting us. So it's still needed, but it takes a lot more, a lot bigger sacrifices than the people who will do violent. Because like you are going into a shooting field with no kind of guarantee that you will come home today. So this is for non-violence pacts. For the violent pacts, like in relation with the Buddhisms, actually we have the right to self-defense. As you have mentioned in your question, that are even inside self-life. I have a lot of questions for that, but I will save in this interview. Actually, I really disagree with this kind of how do I say, insects have life, animals have life. Sure, they have life, but if we stay not eating those animal lives and meat and like gain the necessary how do I say, gain the necessary vitamins and nutrients, like the humans have been extinct like 1,000 or maybe billions years ago. So yeah.
Right. So you mentioned a little bit just now about the unity between the Bamar and some of the other ethnic groups. We talked a bit about the Buddhists and the other religions, and you mentioned how from even an early age you had a very open outlook in terms of wanting to discover the benefits and the wisdoms of other religions, and even as you remained a Buddhist, to be able to welcome and have an open mind to these other kinds of spiritual practices of your friends, and that's really wonderful. And I would hope that that's characteristic of a number of people in the current generation, the younger generation, that kind of open-mindedness and inquisitiveness. But I want to ask about the ethnic groups, because it seems that they're among the Bamar, and this is the majority ethnicity, and you are Bamar. And of course, Myanmar is an extremely diverse country in terms of the peoples and cultures and languages and ethnicities and everything represented there. And it seems that there has been an awakening consciousness in many members of Generation Z, of who are Bamar, in realizing that they, before the coup, they were not so sympathetic or believing or interested in the lives and the backgrounds of many of the minorities in the country. And so I'm curious about your experience and your growth. How knowledgeable or connected were you? How engaged were you with the different ethnic experiences before the coup, and has that changed for you since February 1st?
I'm going to be really honest here. When I was, I think, 14, when I was in 8th grade, I had actually some friends from different ethnicities, but we are not that close. But somehow, when I was 14, a new classmate came into our class, and he was the first new student to our school. So he was the new face in the school, and he was, I think, Kayin from Kayin ethnicity, and somehow, I really hated him because I actually had feelings of superiority over other ethnicities. We thought that we were the best species in Myanmar. Actually, I was one of those who were brainwashed So when I made friends with him, I didn't accept their identity at first. I didn't accept Christianity. He was a Christian. He said that others, a Christian was the best, but somehow I didn't have an open mind to accept that and always said that in rejection. So, but the time that I came to realize that that we are actually brainwashed by really, really deep. It was the time when I want to get you to help the victims who were floated by because the dam was broken. So when I went to that town, Galilei town, I met a lot of other ethnicities people, and somehow the rumors I've heard of them are not right. Actually, they are a lot more welcoming and how do I say very hospitality other than the Burmese people that I've seen in my life. I'm actually from Mandalay, not from Yangon. So even in Mandalay, the Burmese have been colonized that place. You see, like they will say that we didn't know that, we didn't know that. Actually, we had a lot of chances to know that. We just ignored it. So I was one of them also. I was one of them. I was Shan, and even when I become a bit old to understand that, I didn't try to. I actually came into realization that the Burma is so rooted down is the time. I think it was around 20 or 90. I think that was the time that I was in need of urgent money because there was a personal case that needs a lot of money. I tried to ask help from the Burmese friends that I have been, been friends for many years, but like no help come from them. But that one friend that I just knew for like 3 months helped me by saying that I have this money and I don't need it for now, but I will give it to you. So you can give it to me anytime you want. Those are very simple sentences, but it touched me because all my whole life, I thought that those ethnicities hated us. They actually should hate us because like most of the soldiers in Burma or army is Burmese. So it's not wrong to hate us. But like his kindness enlightened me. And I tried to reach to more like different ethnicity friends after that. And I just found out that they have been kind to us all along, even in Yangon. I just, by being brainwashed, like close that view to see them. They have been in front of me all the time. So when I realized that it's not them who hate us, they just hate us in a indirect hatred because they hate the Burmese army so much, and they hate us because it's Burma army that is killing us, killing them, burning them. So I had a good talk with one of my friends who is from different ethnicity. When this coup started, and actually, ethnicity is of like different ethnicities, right? So the ones who are educated and have been friends with those Burma Jews like us don't hate us because actually we are like them. We're not even different. But the ones who doesn't have a single friends of Burma or single Burmese or have made friends of Burmese or Burmese who are not good, and like same like the Burmese army. So looking at them, they hate all Burmese. So it's not their fault, and we actually haven't done enough to cover that the hardships and the killings they have seen and encountered during this past 16 years. Yeah.
That reminds me quite a bit about what's going on in my country in the U.S. with the Black Lives Matter movement, where there was this growth in consciousness among many whites who are the majority here in America of a sense of privilege that they've never realized before, and realizing how many how difficult the minority experience was in America, and the kind of biases and treatment and unfairness and everything else that minorities in this country had. So many of the whites and the majority just simply did not realize, and were therefore not sympathetic to it. And the BLM protests and movements that happened in the course of the last year really opened the eyes of many whites about some of the bias and privilege they had in the system. And many people and companies were confronted with having to explore and to investigate this. And it sounds like, at least as far as Generation Z goes, and I wonder how much that's going into the rest of society, but it seems that in this movement, there's really been a reckoning among the Bamar, at least, who are the majority and who are privileged in Myanmar society, are privileged in many ways that they might not have realized before this, in that they're exploring how the ethnic experience is so much more painful, and that they're faced with so many more problems and discriminations and biases that they never wanted to or able to recognize before. And through recognizing, appreciating that now, they're confronted with their own bias in the system and their own privilege in the system.
Yeah, because a lot of, even the majority in our Burmese population is ignorant to what is happening to them before this coup. And actually, admission to your ignorance takes a lot of courage and self-reflection. I would say that because I didn't. Okay, let's say I was ignorant before, and what is coup? Oh, I was wrong. It didn't went that way. It takes a lot of I think 2 years or more for me to realize that what has been happening. So even though Burmese people would say here right now, because it's the ethnicity armed groups who have guns, not Burmese. Burmese have nothing right now. The only thing Burmese have right now is the Burmese army, who is killing us. So right now the table has turned. We are the ones who have nothing, and those ethnicities have at least armed groups who are rebelling against, who have been rebelling against the military since 60 years ago. So when that happened, most of my friends turned into lights. I mean, they were enlightened. I have seen that. But most people, the majority of Burmese people, they don't accept that they are superior here. If you could read Burmese, you will see that from a lot of comments. And let's say AA disagree to join the NUG, right? The Arakan army from Rakhine refused to join the NUG and to be part of the federal army that is coming. But when he said the statement, actually what we had to do if we accepted them as one of us is to congratulate on his decision and to say sorry for the ignorance we have been giving to Rakhine people for many years. But instead, what most Burmese people said in comments were that they Arakan people, Arakan army also are also on the same side of military, and Arakan army should be with us, but not with the military. But it's not that they are on with us or without us. It's all about that their decisions, and we have to respect those minority decisions also. So, but when it happens, most people, I think, Gen people like us, are trying to correct those others, maybe from 35 to 50, in this comments, to try to say that it's their decision. It's their decision as a minority who has been suffering the military on the atrocities for many years. Be thankful that they didn't drive military to kill those Burmese people. So I think majority of Burmese people will say that they accept that they have been ignorant. They want to help those ethnicities from across the Myanmar. But in action and in ground, they still can't let go of this being superior, because it's a good feeling. You're being how do I say, placed first wherever you go, instead of those ethnicities totally irrelevant between your skills. So it's a good feeling to have once you have had it. I actually have had it, and I had taken like sometimes to like totally erase of it and stay reflecting if I still have that superiority inside me. So I think Burmese people will still have to take more time to actually to really accept that we have been ignorant, that we really need to accept those minorities. Actually, I think there is a lot of steps forward left for the majority of Burmese people to actually see what most young people are seeing right now.
Right. And on one hand, it can definitely feel good to feel superior and one doesn't want to lose it. But on the other hand, sometimes people don't like the idea of giving up their privilege and also don't even like to recognize that they're privileged because I think it can be easier to try to understand yourself as working for everything you had and not getting anything easy and feeling that society has been just as hard on you as it's been on anyone else, and to actually recognize that you do have a privilege in the system, that the system privileges you and your kind of people, no matter what country it is you're talking about and what the majority group is. That could be a very painful realization to come to, and to realize that you are privileged in ways that others are not. And that's something that can be quite a journey for people to come to accept. So how would you describe your Buddhist identity and belief today?
So as an identity of Buddhism, and I as a practitioner of Buddhism, I somehow started to adopt the karma and also all the atrocities, like, because if we still lose this time, like how do I say, all of the Generation Z is trying to tell the Max, because we actually hope a lot from the Max and religion figures who have been like playing big roles in Myanmar, because very famous Max have been like very silent to this coup, to this military atrocities. So we started to really doubt and very angry, because like those banks could stay rich because of our donations. And when this kind of critical situations come up like this, they just disappeared. So it's not about Buddhism. We just started to think that we are prepared and we are actually afraid of killing. We don't. You may notice that a lot of civilized citizen in here like doesn't kill for fun, like in Spain and like in other kind of countries that actually the dads take their children to hunting or to fishing or something like that. Like we are actually afraid to murder if it is possible. Like we don't want to murder because but right now I think we are the most murderous intended people in like globe. So we are also afraid that we will be punished for the murders we are going to commit if this keep going on. We have to murder at some point or another. Like I think we are at the era that we are being cursed, and we are to be like suffer like this way. And it has to be happened, and it's our job to win this or lose this. It's not about the karma anymore. We have to given the situation, so like it's all about what we are going to do from now on. And I don't want to include any kind of religions into this because people started to say that they are going to turn into atheists if we are going to lose it. So like it's nothing to do with the atheist. It's your belief. If you want to be atheist, be atheist. If you want to be Buddhist, be Buddhist. Don't talk about how do I say it? Karma doesn't work. It's not about karma doesn't work or karma works. It's about how you are going to work. So karma is you. From the standpoint of traditional or Buddhism, I still strongly believe in the ways of mindfulness that Buddha has taught us, and not about the stories of like many powers like Avengers. So I still believe in the ways of the Buddha, and I try to stay like him. Yeah, I imitate him sometimes because it's so peaceful.
Yeah, that's really tragic. And I'm really sorry to hear that this kind of decision making is coming upon the Burmese people individually and collectively now, of their ethical and spiritual background faced with a coming darkness and cruelty where it's one is really left with no good decisions. And you had mentioned that you respected and followed the mindfulness teachings of the Buddha and the different traditions. And so I'm curious, are there any particular teachers or lineages or practices that you followed or you currently follow or you followed before?
I'm still trying to follow. Actually, there has been a road. The book name is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Like it's by Stephen R. Covey. Actually, is the English translation of what Buddha has taught us. He just backed the ways of Buddha into terms that most people can understand. So what I'm trying to practice here right now is just two things. Like if it is in my cycle of influence or it's in my cycle of concern. So cycle of influence is things what I can do within my capacity. And cycle of concern is things that I can only concern with. That's one of the practice that I practice even in the school. Another one is how do I say trying to be proactive as much as I can. In bolder ways, like he said, bolder say, 先无眼睛不动那样，like oh sorry, don't try to fight fire with fire. I still believe that because most of my problems that happen in personally or like work relative, it couldn't be solved with fire. Like I had to be water to that fire. So even in this case, like I'm still trying to be water as much as I can because even though after seeing all those atrocities that military is committing, I still don't have like enough courage. Even though I'm mad sometimes, I'm still trying to be a water because if I'm like a fire, I would do things that would take me to the depth of the hell, like getting me caught up. Cycle of influence and cycle of concern is one thing. Trying to like balance out my protection of capability and protection rate is one thing. Another one is to do what I'm doing. I need to be in a good health and still trying to balance out all of my like routines. And don't fight fire with fire. And also, I try to meditate for like 10 minutes in most days because I need to calm down my mind because there's a lot of projects are going on at the same time. Like I still will have to work as a freelance for people who need me to pay for my food and apartment fees. And also at the same time, in the daytimes and the mornings, I still have to like go out sometimes and donate and meet people about what we are going to do secretively and like trying to be very cautious about polices, militaries along the road. And also, whenever I go and whenever I arrive a place, what I do first is like search for an escape route. That whenever things go south, I could escape from that route very immediately. Trying to be very proactive is, I think, that's the most practice I'm trying to practice here. Doing whatever I can and not blaming on people, because like blaming never works. Like trying to focus on what I can do only. Like trying to see what is inside me, trying to see what I can do. Like the Buddha said, don't try to blame others. Just focus on yourself in the main essence of the phrase.
Right. So that's interesting. You're pulling from a lot of different references. You're pulling from different suttas from the Buddha, different statements that he's made that are ringing in your mind, and also Western authors that have taken and fused the Buddha's statements into productive, efficient 21st century health habits and work habits. And you're using influences from all of these sources to guide you and to help plan how you are moving forward. And you mentioned you also do some meditation throughout the day. Have you taken meditation courses before, or is there a certain kind of meditation technique or teacher that you followed?
It's a traumatizing event. I actually suspected myself of having HIV. Yeah. So when I suspected of myself of having that disease, I started to meditate very hard because I believe that I had to calm my mind down because it was a mistake and I had a lot of dreams and hopes going on at the moment, and I made a mistake and I suspected myself of having the potential of having HIV. So I started to meditate very hard on those nights. I'm always trying to calm myself down because this is like what I did and this is what I get. So this is like I have to accept it even if this happens. And it's not the end of the world. Like I still have modernized medicines, and like it could extend my life span. The people I follow is Shane Gailasa. Like he is a monk who has been meditating in the jungles for like 10 years and came out and like stay meditating in the jungle, but with some like billions right now. But he started meditating with nothing in jungle for 10 months. And yeah, I started to take lessons that he uploaded on Facebook on the time. And yeah, the main sense is very clear, like trying to see what is inside me. I'm trying to just focus on the calmness and peace that is occurring in me when I meditate. So at the time, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just losing myself at the time. Because according to the Buddhism, we don't own ourselves. This body is not ours. This mind is not ours. It will change like when we die. So trying to let go of things that we didn't own in the first place. So it's actually very hard. But when I realized that like it's very fun to lose myself, because when you own nothing, you are not afraid of anything. So like this body is not mine. This soul is not mine. It's just the like occurrence and situational body and situational mind. So at the time, and even after that, even I was a kid, like I was forced to go to meditation schools because of my strict parents. But I didn't actually quite understand what those meditation meant at the time. Yeah, I think the first time I started taking a liking into a meditation, like intrinsically, is the time that I started to suspect of myself having HIV, and I started to let go of myself because I was holding too much onto myself. You see, onto my body, like onto the privileges and the happiness that I gained from doing something, because all of those are temporary. Like the true happiness is not happiness; it's like peaceful. It's being mindful. At those kind of times, I was really happy. Even though I try to stay in the place of like HIV positive patient, and I will stay okay with that because actually I'm not going to die with that, and I still can do a lot of things. I even start to go out on YouTube channels and maybe become some kind of influencers that will give encouragement to the people like me, or maybe people like cancer patients. Yeah, I thought all of the ways ahead by trying to stay into that position, even though I was not, and I'm not now.
Right. That's quite interesting. And so you've been having this experience throughout your life of learning experientially Buddhist meditation. First, your parents wanted you to take some courses and they didn't really hit. But when you had this potential crisis in your life of thinking that you might have HIV, it drove you to wanting to find some greater peace, which is what happens to many people across cultures when some tragedy strikes, of wanting to find some kind of inner stability or greater answers. I know that definitely was what drove me to meditation in the early stages. And now that you're in this crisis, that background of having done meditation and knowing the stability and the deeper truths and wisdom that arise from that practice, that is allowing you a greater place of stability in these very chaotic and scary times, and some grounding. But in relation to all of this, in the midst of all of this, you referenced before how you also suffer from mental disorders, that you have faced suicidal tendencies before. So as far as you're comfortable in sharing, I'm wondering where your mental issues have intersected with your meditation practice before the coup, how you dealt, how the meditation was able to provide support, if any, to some of the mental challenges that were going on. And now that the coup has happened, I mean, people that were really pretty okay, mentally speaking, and having some stability before the coup, you know, everyone is in a state of real instability and distress and trauma at the moment, given what's going on. So I can only imagine, with how difficult things are now, going into that situation where you've already faced some kind of mental challenges can be even more of a burden to carry. So I'm wondering where all these things have fit together for you.
About the mental disorders that I have been facing is like very obvious. One of those mental disorder was insomnia. I actually had a habit of not sleeping early. It was a very bad habit, but that habit turned into insomnia. When one of my big dreams since I was young is to go on a plane and travel to another country and work there or maybe live there. I just wanted to experience a lot of new things. So I what while I was in my third year students, I somehow got the volunteer work from the sub institute of Oxford University to work as a volunteer and study at the same time. Uh, it's from ISEC, AISEC, and among the 200 participants across the globe. And I think she said I think 5 of Myanmar participants were chosen only. 200 participants in Myanmar, and I was one of them. To go to Vietnam and stay there for 6 months and study and learn at the same time. And if I had a good chance, I'll be able to live there for some kind of longer period. But my parents didn't provide me with the transportation fees. I think it's around 700 USD dollars. And actually, my parents are not that poor. My father is second in command in how do I say second in command in a shipping company. On a ship. I don't know. Is one rank lower than the captain and on a ship. So his salary is quite good. But I have an older brother and I have another sister. I'm in the middle one. So they had to look for my older brother more because he was on the path of becoming a doctor. So I didn't get the transportation fees and my scholar was rejected. Not rejected. I had to let go of the scholar because my parents couldn't give me that $700. And so I started to hate my life at the time. I have been hating my life all along. And I've actually tried suicide for 2 times. One is by hanging and one is by drugs. The hanging didn't succeed because I couldn't stand the pain because the choking pain is how do I say it's too painful. I just don't like it. I just wanted to die. I don't like the pain. So after that, I started to I think it's called melatonin drugs. I always had that uh, pills on standby at my house. Whenever I feel I start to grab it, but the motivation of me, the motivation that kept me alive all these years is like I'm not the solver of this. I have been doing a lot, and I'm still doing a lot, and I think I will receive what I deserve someday. So meditation somehow helped me in those times. When I meditate myself, all of those chaotic thoughts start to calm down just bit by bit, and I start to see the situations very clearly. When if my parents didn't give me 700 USD dollars, I could just go loan from some of my friends or maybe my relatives. They were very eager to give me 700 USD dollars. One of my relatives was, but I just refused it because of my pride. Because my pride was I'm not going to be supported by any other people except my parents. So it was my fault actually when I meditated back. So meditation is a time to reflect on what you have done wrong, on things that you think they were wrong and you're right, and somehow if you think hard, it was you who are wrong. So uh, if you meditate with this kind of how do I say thought, and you see a lot of your mistakes more and more. And the more you see your mistakes, the more you think that, okay, I'm not going to repeat the same mistake, and I'm going to make up my mind for this similar kind of situation. So meditation also helps you to decrease the mistakes you are going to make because the more you see into yourself and the more how do I say imperfect that you think you see in yourself, like it's the less likely you will see the sins and defects in other people. So if you don't see much in other people, you will start to see the good things in other people. So like it works with that way. The consequences work that way. So the suicidal thoughts like went away when I started walking non-stoply. I started walking at I think 21. I think around the time 21. And actually I had worked before, but this was my first time getting into corporate job. So when I started walking, like I walked very non-stoply. I slept at the work. I work on weekends, even though I didn't get paid for that. And I was working at an account executive as a local digital marketing agency. But I learned a lot from there. So when I walk, those suicidal thoughts started to disperse. And I realized that it was my coping way of coping mechanism of getting those thoughts away. So but to get this, I had to meditate and think a lot. Like meditation is not just closing your eyes and getting into yourself into position of meditation. You can thinking and reflecting on yourself is also a meditation. I think it's in my channel. I also think that way. You can just sit at a cafe and grab a coffee and maybe a smoke and maybe think of what you could have done wrong in places that you think you are right. So if you just think too hard on yourself, you will start to see the fatal errors that you have done and on things that you think you're still right. So you will start to see things vice versa in a very how do I say oppositional way. So yeah, I think meditation helped me that way. So I try to stay clear of all things as much as I can because when those atrocities and when the military started to crack down on people in Myanmar, crack down on protesters, we are bombarded with a lot of funeral news. People getting hurt, people getting adapted, people getting how do I say hit, killed, poisoned brutally. So actually, I think I was set for only one day. I cried for one day, but I wasn't, and I didn't feel a thing for that because feelings, those feelings can't do anything. You see, actions is something that I can do. So instead of trying to stay depressed because of the news, stay how do I say provoke or maybe angry because of those funerals or people dying, how do I say, 100 miles away from me. Like I thought in that way, I will do what I can. And what I can is trying to help people in my area. So in my area in Yangon, which places need my help? Okay, what kind of help I can give with my community? So I just try to focus on things what I could do. Aside from all those how to say, negative news and funeral news, people dying mentally. I can't do shit about people dying mentally. What I can do is in Yangon to give gears and supports to the people in need. So I just read the news and note them down. Uh, Apart from that, I didn't feel anything from those news because those news are in my cycle of concern. So I always try to and those cycle of influence and cycle of concern is also one of the Buddha Sutra. Mimi goda go no? Mimi goda go you depend on yourself. So instead of depending on mentally people to do something about it, I depend on myself to do something about what I can in Yangon. So when I started doing, my hands become longer and could reach to other places like ethnicity groups, EAOs, to how do I say people who are moving around, not in Yangon, but in other places like in Xuegu, in Ube, in Taunji, in Miaomia. Yeah. So yeah, I think it is the benefit of focusing on what I could do, not focusing on what is happening out there and feeling some kind of emotions to them. Yeah. So I think I learned from those books and Buddha. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to go back to something else you had talked about in your recount of your early few weeks after the coup. And you had mentioned that one of your early involvements was to help the SHIELD team. This was at a time when more people were on the streets. In the first, 4 to 6 weeks, there were a lot more protesters that were actually going out. And then when the violence started, some of the older generations started to stay at home, but the younger ones were still coming out. They started to have more protective gear. You mentioned not just the shields, but also the gas masks and some of the other protective equipment that that protesters were wearing and bringing in order to protect themselves against the coming violence. Once the live ammunition started, and the RPGs and the grenades and some of the other terrible instruments of war that we've seen, the strategies have shifted again. But in those early days, many more were going out, and after the military came on the streets, the protesters were bringing many more of these protective gear to anticipate what some of this aggression might be. And you had mentioned that you were involved in acquiring and perhaps manufacturing some of these materials. So I'm wondering more about how you were going about to figure out what you needed and where you were able to get them from, how you were able to deliver them, if you had to make, if there were any you had to make yourself, how you went about that. But what was your role in helping some of these defensive teams and protective equipment?
Actually, we have been bombarded with a lot of Hong Kong 2019 protesting guides on Twitters, and they have told us how to protest against the police's and forces using rubber bullets and other smoke bombs. So, and like tear gas bombs. So, like we actually like trying to imitate what Hong Kong students did in 2019. But in the early days, what I did was just buying for myself because I was going to protest, and somehow the SHE teams at the times were not fully composed. Like anyone who volunteered to take shifts can do that. So like there were no names, there were no address. Like everyone who is willing can take up the sheet and defend the people. So at the time, actually, I was not courageous enough to take up the sheets, but I was somehow decided to pick up the tear gas bombs, and maybe if I had a chance, I will throw it back to the protesters. And if I didn't, I will like put it down with a wet towel, or maybe like drown it in a water bucket. But at the time, even though I decided to like just pick up the tear gas bombs and how do I say killing them. But I was in SHE team. I like my how do I say I was dragged, and like I didn't actually deny it a lot. So while I was in the SHE team, I saw a lot of people taking out the SHE with just some clothes wrapped around their mouth and nose, not even tear gas, and they don't have helmet, Google bags, because when the tear gas bomb explodes, like it really hurts your skin and your heart. I mean, your eyes. You can't open your eyes because I was hit with it for like 3 times. So they have to be fully equipped. So they are likely the most person who will be in touch with the tear gas bombs. Like at the time, they started using live ammunition at the time. So like they have to be fully equipped. And yeah, after being in the SHE team, and I didn't get to the SHE team back. So what I did was I started collecting all those materials and to get to the places they are needed. Yeah.
Right. So you were doing a lot to be able to acquire these materials, get donations, and give them to the people where it was needed most. And you were doing donations of several different kinds, I understand. You were trying to get donations of material and funds to be able to provide for these protective equipments. You were also trying to support impoverished communities. You mentioned how there are many communities that even before the coup were not doing so well. After the coup, they were doing in some places, especially those that had been really brutalized and had been where soldiers had come and caused a lot of damage and harm. There were some communities that were really suffering, and you were trying to work to get them food and support as well. And then on top of this, more recently, you've mentioned that you've been supporting some of the defense groups, the EAOs, some of the potential guerrilla and offensive operations that are currently being planned and taking place. So it sounds like you have been very resourceful in finding funding for a lot of different purposes and places, peoples, communities, and then with those funds going and applying them in the appropriate way. So can you share more about how you've gone about this donation collecting, and then once you have the donation, what you've been able to do with it and what you're supporting?
I actually am not very resourceful. I'm like you see, like half introvert and half extrovert. I was like so. But my characteristics is a bit bold, and I had a very dark sense of humor. So people just like love to hear me talk because I curse a lot, but they are not hurt by it. So when this coup happened, how does it? I have already gained most of my friends' trust. Because before that, I have been in a lot of how do I say, communities like from British Council, CSI, civil society initiatives. That program is mainly focused on teaching the orphanage kids. I mean orphanage. And I was in American Center Peer Tutors programs. And I was in charge of I was second in charge of homage paying ceremony in our state school. And like how do I say, 20 years older than me, still had to listen to my talk. So I had gained the trust of most people like since before the coup. Like I'm not a very rightful person anyway. Like I just somehow gained their trust. And when this could happen, and like when I realized that donation is the key point to keep whatever we are doing, I just go and like talk to them very plainly, like with any other introduction, because I think that an introduction right and a very polite introductions is not required in this kind of situation. I just go out and set what I want. Like here is what I want. Here is what they are needing, and if you give me this amount of cash, or if you give me this kind of equipment, like I can deliver it back to them. And so it's like I'm acting as a communication between those people who are in need and those people who want to help but don't know where to give. So after proving my how do I say records on Facebook through my days and through posts about like how to say this is the amount of funds that I've received for this week, and this is where I donate them, and thank you to the donors. So like after this has gone for like I think 2 months, around 2 months. I started to establish those two free clinics with the donors help also. So what I did was trying to communicate and trying to reach out to people as much as I could. So but one good thing for me was I was at a very popular event before this coup on Facebook. In Myanmar, like you decide people popularity by their likes and their comments and their shares. I was a very silent one on Facebook. I didn't post much. I didn't share much. So as I said, as soon as this could happen, and after like 1 week, one of the foreign channels, Asian boss, like the one who worked for Asian boss is my friend, and he noticed that I have been moving a lot for in this group. So like she contacted me, and like they asked for if they could have an interview with me. So it went viral on, I mean, a bit viral on YouTube and on Facebook. So like friends in my car saw that videos, and they started to believe more in me that I'm actually doing, because there have been a lot of fraud and about donations. So instead of them donating to unknown people, they started to donate to me because anytime they can call me up and like they can ask me where those donations go, where those donation is used. So I think this is one of the main main benefit that I can give to my donors because I'm not someone staying unknown, but I go with friends only in Facebook. So I think that quite.
Yeah, sure. So the last question I'd like to ask you about is these clinics that you're opening up. I understand that you've been working to open up free medical clinics after the February 1st coup. I wonder if you can tell me what exactly you're doing with those clinics and if you have a prior background in medical training or establishing clinics.
Okay, let's say my brother is a doctor, but I don't have any kind of medical experience or like history for me. So it's not my idea, or it's not my original idea. That actually we started as a group, me and my another two friends. We came into contact and we tried to contact a lot of people, a lot of political leaders that are still escaping. To like guide us what we should do because we are really normal civilian before. So I started to amass people that I think who will want to listen. From my friends, through my friends, we will hold Zoom meetings, Signal meetings, not Signal, Zoom meetings, Google meetings, like to hear what those political leaders would say. Alice Onkant and some others, locally famous leaders who are still escaping. So, but in the time, I came into close with two girls who are in that meeting also. One of them is that year medical student. Name is Ethnicity. I will have to mention their name because they are also part of what I've been doing. Another one is HMO, who is I think a business and management student. So at one time, I think on second week of February, that Ethnicity came told me that we should open a free clinics that would give basic medical healthcare for those people who are in need and who are in need more right at the time. So I decided. I mean, I considered for like 2 days and then said, yeah, let's do that because I have planned for that. So what I did was I told my brother, like he's not here right now, he's in London, that to collect and like inform your doctor friends that we are trying to implement a free clinic here. So like he immersed them into a Facebook group and I explained them what we are going to do, what we want to do and what we are going to accomplish and what kind of services we'll provide to you, to doctors, to people and to the community. So after explaining all this, I think four of those doctors agreed to work with us, to work free. And Ethnicity was in charge of finding doctors who will work free for the people. So Ethnicity actually work more than me in those free clinics. So we started opening one in Insane near that Ethnicity house. And we started giving free medical healthcare. And the cost and the donations came from the people I've known are in the past, still in the present. So it's not my money at all. It's the donations of all of those who have donated me through Facebook, through offline. So we started opening that one free clinic in Insane, and it went good. It went good for like 1 month. So we decided to start another one, and I think we started to open another one. I think after opening the first clinic, so 2 weeks, 2 weeks after opening of the first clinic, we started opening another one in like Shebita. Shebita is how do I say? Like after Shebita, you are into another district. So it's like the most far away district from the town. Yeah. So the haggle, the things you can get, the water, the food are totally different from the downtown. So how do we get the place to open clinics? Is that we we're trying to talk with the locals that we have this plan. All you have to do is provide us with a place, the people to guard doctors and to scout for the military to not come adapt the doctors. There's the only three things that you need to provide us. What we are going to provide is doctors, nurses, medicines for free to the community. So, okay, it turns out the deal went well. So we open in Jupiter. So after opening those two, I think not very far, in the middle of March. Yep, not April. In the first week of April, our first clinic was destroyed by the military because they thought that this clinic is the one who is curing the protesters who were injured by during the protesting by the military. So they cut off the supply as much as they can. So the insect clinic gone. It's gone. It's just gone. And like for the distributor, like for the safety of the doctors and the locals, we moved it to the more secure place that is not in the wide open field. Like it doesn't even have the logo on it. It's just like a very, normal looking apartment, and only the trusted locals know what it is. So yeah, this is by far our clinic has been operating, and I think we actually plan to open another one in Ethnicity, but somehow the situation at the time was very worse. Like we couldn't even travel very easily. Like if me and other people are spotted and captured, it's not us who are in danger, but evidences we have been carrying with us in phones, our Facebook, like the things we have been doing, it's all recorded in the phone. So we decided to wait to open another one in Ethnicity. So yeah, this is by far what is free clinics.
Right. So at this point, even the military is targeting doctors and clinics, and even just trying to do the simple job of caring for people that are injured, that those are also coming under scrutiny and attack. Certainly wish you the best of luck with continuing to operate and run those clinics, as well as all the other excellent work that you're doing. You're just so involved in such a wide range of activities, and it's really, really remarkable how you're able to hold all that, all your activity, all the energy you're putting forward. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us a little more detail about everything going on, and informing listeners around the world as to what is really happening in Myanmar right now, and what the needs are, and how people can be informed and support the resistance movement at this time, the push for democracy. And wish you to be well, wish you to be safe. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us and to share.
Thank you so much for having me as a talk person. As one of those very tiny voices from Myanmar, I'm really appreciate for what you're doing. And to those viewers, to the listeners, I'm really appreciate if you listen to the end and had somehow like if you could gain some information from this podcast, I'm really appreciate it. Yeah.
inspiring as it was to hear today's guest, I know from experience that when you're listening from so far away, there can also be a certain kind of helplessness in hearing about the struggle that people like them are now engaged in. Thankfully, we have organized a reliable way for interested listeners to provide valuable assistance to those local communities. All donations will be sent to support the protesters currently resisting the military coup. By taking an active role in helping support the movement, you can ensure that people like today's speaker have even a few more resources to draw on and can manage even another week more in their efforts. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are resisting the military coup, we welcome your contribution in any form, currency, or transfer method. Every cent goes immediately and directly to funding those local communities who need it most. Donations go to support such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, and the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies. Or if you prefer, you can earmark your donation to go directly to the guest you just heard on today's show. In order to facilitate this donation work, we have registered a new nonprofit called Better Burma for this express purpose. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is now directed to this fund. Alternatively, you can visit our new Better Burma website, which is betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit cards. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we can take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either website for specific links to those respective accounts or email us at info@betterburma.org. In all cases, that's Better Burma, one word, spelled BetterBurma. If you would like to give in another way, please contact us. Thank you so much for your kind consideration. You've been listening to the Insight Myanmar podcast. We'd appreciate it very much if you could rate, review, and/or share this podcast. Every little bit of feedback helps. You can also subscribe to the Insight Myanmar podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you get your podcasts to make sure you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. If you can't find our feed on your podcast player, please just let us know and we'll ensure it can be offered there in the future. Also, make sure to check out our website for a list of our complete episodes, including additional text, videos, and other information available at insightmyanmar.org. And I also invite you to take a look at our new nonprofit organization at betterburma.org. There was certainly a lot to talk about in this episode, and we'd like to encourage listeners to keep the discussion going. Make a post, request specific questions, and join in on discussions currently going on the Insight Myanmar podcast Facebook group. You're also most welcome to follow our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts by the same name. If you're not on social media, feel free to message us directly at info@insightmyanmar.org. Or if you'd like to start up a discussion group on another platform, let us know and we can share that forum here. Finally, we're open to suggestions about guests or topics for future episodes. So if you have someone or something in mind, please do be in touch. We would like to take this time to thank everyone who made this podcast possible. Currently, our team consists of 2 sound engineers, Mike Bink and Martin Combs. There's of course Zach Hessler, content collaborator and part-time co-host. Ken Pransky helps with editing, and a special Mongolian volunteer who is asked to remain anonymous does our social media templates. In light of the ongoing crisis in Myanmar, a number of volunteers have stepped in to lend a hand as well, and so we'd like to take this time to appreciate their effort in our time of need. And we're always on the lookout for more volunteers during this critical time, so if you'd like to contribute, definitely let us know. We'd also like to thank everyone who has assisted us in arranging for the guests we've interviewed so far. And of course, we send a big thank you to the guests themselves for agreeing to come on and share such personal, powerful stories. Finally, we're immensely grateful for the donors who made this entire thing possible. We want to remind our listeners that the opinions expressed by our guests are their own and don't necessarily reflect the host or other podcast contributors. Please also note that as we are mainly a volunteer team, we do not have the capacity to fact-check our guest interviews. By virtue of being invited on our show, there's a trust that they will be truthful and not misrepresent themselves or others. If you have any concerns about the statements made on this or other shows, please contact us. This recording is the exclusive right of Insight Myanmar podcast and may not be used without the expressed written permission of the podcast owner, which includes video, audio, written transcripts, or excerpts of any episodes. Also not meant to be used for commercial purposes. On the other hand, we're very open to collaboration, so if you have a particular idea in mind for sharing any of our podcasts or podcast-related information, please feel free to contact us with your proposal. If you would like to support our mission, we welcome your contribution. During this time of crisis, all donations now go towards supporting the protest movement in Myanmar through our new nonprofit, Better Burma. You may give by searching Better Burma on PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, GoFundMe, and Patreon, as well as via credit card at betterburma.org/donation. You can also give right on our Insight Myanmar website, as all donations given there are directed towards the same fund. And with that, we're off to work on the next show, so see you next episode.
Yeah.